So, let me just begin by saying I am not a historian. I am not in any way, shape, or form related to any sort of formal study of history in a college or university setting. Now, on to the video. So, the Louisiana Purchase was basically here's two culturally European powers on this new continent, and one of the powers sells its claim to a vast region of territory that's already populated with Indians. Now, you could argue like some of these people were semi-nomadic or whatever, but you can't really argue the fact that people sold land they did not control to other people who also did not have take the time to properly conquer the territory. So, bunch of Indians, over like 1/3 of the, well, not counting Alaska, like 1/3 of modern continental America. So what did the colonies do? The colonies mass advertise the Louisiana Purchase. Well, first they mass advertise to lay people, come here, move here, blah, blah, blah. And then when they get there, the migrants from Europe are told, you should settle out west, right? You should go to the Louisiana territory, build stuff there. So you have an advertising where it's come here to our country, it's great. Then you have settled there, there's where you can set up your home, right? And nobody told the Indians about the white people coming, and the white people were shocked, or pretended to be shocked, some of them, but like most of them being lay people would have been shocked that the Indians are mad that their food resources are being hunted to extinction. So you send unarmed or barely armed civilians in a territory that you do not control. And then you use the pretext of Indians attacking white people to attack the Indians. So it is clearly kind of an engineered war, but like fundamentally speaking, should the settlers really be considered guilty of what the colonies did? Because it's the colonies who are in charge of the process of summoning people to America and sending them to the Louisiana territory, right? So the human, farming equipment being sent to create a legal reason and a motivation and a farm for soldiers to attack and conquer the territory. One would argue that because they were misled, they're just as much victims of the conquest as the Indians. Maybe not exactly as much. Maybe they're a little less victims, but at the same time they might be a lot more victims because they went to America, got screwed by being sent to another place. So they left their home, they went to America, they were told, go out west to settle the West. They went out west, they settled the West, but they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't have enough forces to properly conquer the territory. So people were basically being conscripted as human, tools, basically, right? So the settlers might have taken the land from the Indians, but the settlers themselves were getting screwed. One would argue, plus, or in some cases, if some of the Indians came back and tortured and killed the family or raped someone's daughter or whatever, I'm not saying all Indians are like that, but some of the tribes would have been fucking conquerors and bloodthirsty and whatever, and you're sending these human shields, human like farming equipment, human tools to deal with them, or provide a reason for like soldier farming for the campaign, basically. So in some cases, some of the settlers would have been, screwed even worse off than the Indians. So, do any of the settlers' families, if you were to apply reparations for the Louisiana Purchase, would some of the settler families be considered for that purchase? Because, if someone can prove that historically their family's troubles came from being convinced into going to the Louisiana Territory to settle there without being offered enough explanation about what the dangers are, like, should there be reparations for white people as well as Indians?